You are listening to the People First podcast.
People First is a self-advocacy group run by people with learning disabilities, and People First podcast is a platform to raise awareness about real issues that affect people with learning disabilities in our community and all around the world.
We aim to inform and entertain our listeners by interviewing interesting guests and talking about the things that really matter to us. This is like having a stage to speak out and get our voices heard. Welcome to the People First podcast. Our guest on this episode is Rod Nicholls from Extinction Rebellion Bradford. Rod joined us on Zoom to answer our questions about climate change and to tell us about Extinction Rebellion.
Can you introduce yourselves for our listeners?
Yeah, I'm Rod Nicholls. As you can hear, I'm from originally from Essex in England, but I've lived in Bradford since about 2000. I work in a children's home here. I really care about the environment. I think that we're causing the destruction of the planet. Not we, but particular systems are causing the destruction of the planet, and I'm trying to do what I can to stop that destruction.
What is climate change?
Climate change is the change in the weather patterns. Basically, in the history of the planet, there's been about 5 mass extinctions because of, like the Ice Age to, different things that causes mass extinction. But humans lived on if we had a 24-hour clock, humans have lived on the planet for about 3 minutes, that 24-hour clock. And since we came into industrial revolution and started extracting fossil fuels and that, we've created global warming. Emissions have gone out and created the breakdown and created global warming. So the climate change now is created by humans, and we're looking towards a 6th extinction, and that could be humanity if we're not careful, if we don't do something about it. So it's basically the weather patterns that change, but humanity is making those weather patterns change.
What is Extinction Rebellion?
Extinction Rebellion. People say we're in a period of, I think it's called Homocene period, which is really good for humanity to live. But people say because of climate change, we've gone into the Anthropocene period, which is going to destroy many species and not give, humanity cannot live in this. And so Extinction Rebellion is a group of activists who want to stop the domination and exploitation of humanity and nature. And they have 4 demands. that the government tell the truth, that we act now, we go beyond politics, and we have a just transition to sustainables for the vulnerable people, for the people who are actually the people from the global south who have done little for climate change, to cause climate change, but the big industrial northern countries create it, and they are the most people affected by it. So we're Great Extinction Rebellion are saying we've got to stop this extinction.
When was Extinction Rebellion founded?
It was founded in 2018. It was founded by a group of activists, Gal Bradbrook, Simon Bramall, Roger Hallam and Tasmin Ormond. And a group of activists founded in 2018. And I first became aware of Extinction Rebellion in November 2018. I was in London on a march, a Stand Up Against Racism march, and that's when Extinction Rebellion blockaded the bridges in London. And I thought, well, we should all be working together because I think the climate change, racism, inequalities all come together. We've got to fight for everything, But anyway, after that, local groups were formed, and I joined in with the Bradford Extinction Rebellion. Yeah, and it's been a big struggle since. I've been doing local activities, and we have sit-ins, we protest, with marches, and then we have a big rebellion. We've had a big rebellion most years. I was in 2019. I was down in London, and then Manchester, Leeds. We've had big rebellions, big protests, and it's a struggle to stop exploitation and domination and destruction.
What can we do as individuals to reduce the impact of climate change?
There are individual actions to reduce the impact of climate change. So you can have a plant-based diet, or recycling, using less fuel or less flying can help. But in my opinion, we need a complete change of our economic system. The success of countries and nation states are measured by gross domestic product. And that's, in my opinion, that's not a measurement of success. A country's success should be measured by what it does for all its citizens and the ecology. So the USA has the highest gross domestic product, but lack of healthcare and poor education system. And it's destroyed much of the planet. Whereas Costa Rica has 70% less GDP, the gross domestic product, but a great health service and education, and an ecological system that is far better than all the bigger countries that measure success by profit or by GDP. Yeah, and I implore individuals to get active and fight for a system change that does not dominate and exploit nature and humanity, but can work towards a collective good. We've got to learn to live together and work together with nature and humans.
Who is the biggest culprit when it comes to climate change?
There's Well, I would say put it in my opinion, I put it in one thing, capitalism. But the top 100 companies cause 71% of emissions. And the top companies are oil producing companies. So like Exxon Mobil, BP, Shell, and there's other Iranian and Saudi oil companies. And they've all been part of a cover-up throughout climate change when I was in the 70s and global warming was spoke about in the 70s. But these companies have put money in to cover up to the facts about the climate crisis. And they've just perpetuating myths that, denying the climate crisis just so they make profit out of exploiting nature.
How do you justify disrupting the lives of ordinary people with protests when ordinary people can often do very little to stop climate change?
Yeah, well, I really do empathise, for ordinary people. I justify it by saying that the climate crisis will do much more disruption to ordinary people's lives, more than anything we have witnessed. It has already disrupted and caused deaths of many people with fires, floods, earthquakes all over the world. There will be mass disruption when people migrate from countries where they can't survive. The global warming, if we go up to, the Paris Climate Agreement says 1.5 degrees warming, but the IPCC say we're going above that. And if you get countries turning into deserts, there's predictions that most of Spain can turn into the desert. So other countries will turn into deserts and they won't be able to grow food. 50 degrees centigrade and no food can be grown. And they will have to come to places where food can be grown. So there'll be mass disruption. They can't survive the climate crisis. And we've got to act now for all of humanity. It's probably not spoken of loudly, but there's probably 500,000 deaths happen due to climate crisis, fires and floods now, and it still continues. So who is disrupting? Someone blocking a road or someone extracting them fossil fuels?
What should the government be doing to halt climate change?
Stop cozying up to fossil fuel corporations, invest in sustainable energy and a just Green New Deal for everyone. And the richest governments should give reparations for the destruction they have caused so developing countries can build a sustainable future. The history of capitalism is exploiting, it's like from slavery, colonialism, complete exploitation and just stealing from developing countries. And I think they have to give the money back or the development back so they can maintain a sustainable future.
Are any political parties doing enough to help?
The simple answer is no. If they were doing enough to help, you wouldn't need Extinction Rebellion or any activists. The Greens have no power. We have a first past the post system in Westminster, and the Greens only have a slight power in local government, and so that party, they're mostly activists. The Tories pretend they are doing something. They are completely greenwashing and still investing in fossil fuels and opening up mines, and they completely just play for the class interests for the rich elite people and making profit over planet and people, I think. I was active with Corbyn's Labour Party because there are plans looking forward for a Green New Deal with Rebecca Long Bailey was really good, and I think it was really real disappointment that due to Brexit, Corbyn got defeated in the last election, but they had great plans for a Green New Deal, and I think that is the way forward. But now Keir Starmer, is leader of the Labour Party, is just keeping the status quo, and he doesn't. And keeping the status quo is not what is needed to save our planet.
What are your plans in future to raise awareness?
I'm going to support as many climate activist groups. We're protesting against the West Yorkshire Pension Fund investing in fossil fuels. And the local authorities have declared a climate crisis, but seem to be doing very little. So, I mean, we will keep them aware through protests that they have to do more. And then COP26 is coming up in Glasgow, where all the big corporations and talk about climate crisis. And so I'm going up there to do some outreach, to talk to everybody around about the climate crisis and try and get people as active as possible. And I've blocked roads in the past. I've been one of the lucky ones who's not got arrested, but I feel that's because I'm an elderly white man. If I feel that there's still racism, and if I was a black man, I would get arrested. If I was a young man with dreadlocks or something, I would get arrested. But I have not been arrested because I'm a white elderly man. But so it's up to people like me to push a bit more to make people aware of the climate crisis. And I like to talk to people historically. The whole climate crisis started with humanity's exploitation of the land. And there was a philosophy by this guy called John Locke. He was a capitalist, one of the first capitalists. And he said, if you owned land and you did not develop that land, then other people could take it off of you to develop it and exploit it to make a profit out of it, which is completely against any, any looking after the planet. So that created colonialism, slavery, exploitation of the British going everywhere to exploit the world, and they destroyed whole populations in Ireland, India, Africa, and destroyed nature and environment there. So we've got to fight against, we've got to have a system that shares and looks after the environment and humanity. It's only a few elite people who are destroying the planet, really. It's not all of humanity.
How do you feel about the new regulations about protesting?
I think it's undemocratic. I think it's change only happens through grassroots protests, and there's always been a struggle through the suffragettes, the poor lords and that. We've struggled for the welfare state, and to come against that is a authoritarian. I would call it neo-fascist movement, just so they can just have their own agendas all the time. And it scares me to see the way that the Conservatives are manipulating things like the voting system, border changes, and coming down hard on protests. So, but we got to keep struggling. It's called, there's a struggle, and we got to still fight against it. And so it's hard for some people. It's hard for me. It's hard for everybody to fight against this sort of authoritarian rule. But that's the only way we can get our policies on the agenda. Horrendous, but there's a lot of people that, there's hope. There's a lot of people. When I went down to London a few weeks back, you mix with people from it. There's thousands and thousands of people in Extinction Rebellion, and they are so good people, such good people, such caring people, and yet you get the media saying that they're, these thugs or these extremists and that, but all they care about the planet and humanity. And it's just, it's so good to see that with all the pressures, there are still people fighting with this hope that they can save the planet. We need action now. Extinction Rebellion says that we should have carbon-free by 2025, but the Labour Party said 2030. The Tories saying 2050, and there's going to be this tipping point where there's going to be a lot of destruction. There has been a lot of destruction. There will be a lot of destruction unless we do something now. We still got that chance. We still have that chance and that hope. So we've got to do something about it, It's not a very... I want to give you more hope. But there's that... There are a lot of caring people out there trying their best to change the world into we need an economic system that benefits everyone, and not just the few, the elite at the top. So that has to change, and then that will be the start of saving humanity and saving the planet.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time and coming.
It's brilliant to be with you, Tom. Great to be with you, Luke, and you, George. Thank you.
We are all hearing the term climate change more than ever. But what does climate change mean? What is causing it, and what can we do as individuals to help prevent it? The climate is the weather conditions that are expected in a region at a particular time of year. And climate change is a long-term change in the pattern of weather. For example, some places might be getting colder winters and hotter summers than they usually get. The three main causes of climate change are:
Number 1.
humanity's increased use of fossil fuels, such as coal, oil and gas, to generate electricity, run cars and other forms of transport, and power manufacturing and industry.
Number 2.
Deforestation, because living trees absorb and store carbon dioxide.
Number 3.
Increasingly intensive agriculture, which emits greenhouse gases like methane and nitrous oxide. The signs of climate change are higher temperatures, more droughts, wilder weather, changing rain and snow patterns, less snowpack, melting glaciers, shrinking sea ice, and thawing permafrost. Global climate change has already had noticeable effects on the environment. Glaciers have shrunk, ice on rivers and lakes is breaking up earlier, plants and animal ranges have shifted, and trees are flowering sooner. Effects that scientists had predicted in the past would result from global climate change are now occurring: loss of sea ice, accelerated sea level rise, and longer, more intense heat waves. Scientists are certain that global temperatures will continue to rise for decades to come, largely due to greenhouse gas produced by human activities. We can all do our bit to try and prevent climate change. Here are a few tips and tricks to help. Use energy wisely and save money too. Consider making some or all of these small changes. Together, they can really add up. Unplug computers, TVs and other electronics when you're not using them. Wash clothes in cold water when appropriate. Winterise your home to prevent heat from escaping, and try to keep it cool in the summer without an air conditioner or fans. Change to energy efficient light bulbs. These can be more expensive, but they should last for way longer than traditional bulbs. Eat for a climate stable planet. The decisions we make about food can have a profound effect on the environment. Here are 4 simple ways you can make your diet more climate friendly.
Number 1.
Eat more meat-free meals.
And number 2.
Buy local wherever possible.
And number 3.
Don't waste food.
And number 4.
Grow your own food if you can. Although these ideas might seem like a drop in the ocean when it comes to fighting climate change, most of these changes can improve your health, save you money, and make your community and local environment a nicer place to live. So it's worth a go.
Thanks for listening to the show. Please like and share on all your social medias.